What's going on, everybody? It's Shane here, and we are 4 weeks out from our natural bodybuilding competition. I'm going to be taking you through a full day of eating, so you're going to see every single gram of protein, carbs, and fats that I'm going to have throughout the day, as well as all the different supplements that I might be taking to get myself in the best shape possible come October 19th. This morning, after we did some cardio, we had our first meal, which was 47 grams of all bran buds, as well as a full banana. The buds have been helping me because they're high in fiber. It's been helping my digestion, which has definitely slowed down a little bit as the prep has gone on, because their metabolism gets a little bit slower. And then we prepped all the stuff we need for the gym, which is going to be pre-workout. I go with Prevail, creatine, glutamine, and a non-stim pre-workout to help with blood flow in the pump. Then we moved on to our Intra workout, which is some essential amino acids, which I'll be sipping throughout the training. And then finally we have our post-workout shake, which is 2 scoops of diesel protein, 1 scoop of Carbolin neutral flavored sugar powder, I guess. And that's gonna get me 50 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs. I won't dilly-dally too long, prep the pre-workout, and then I'll see you at the gym. So we just got to the gym. I've been sipping on my pre-workout on the drive in so that when I get here it's already done. And then once I'm warming up, I can kind of set in and get myself primed for the training ahead. Won't be highlighting too much of the training because this is more of a full day of eating video, but I'll post some highlights and you guys will get a bit of a sneak peek into today's arm and abs day. Let's get it.
Take back who I was before. If it's no, then all my dreams have not been interesting in a while. This has not been interesting in a while. Wow. I wanted to fly, but they say a system's coming in. The chances are ain't gelling. Someone next to me keeps yelling. Why am I still walking? Something must be wrong here. I just don't belong here. I wanted to fly, but they say a system's coming in. Chances are then this is a one way.
All right, 10:45 a.m. and we just finished up our cardio session after training. So I'm still doing 40 minutes of Stairmaster. And here we have meal 2, which is gonna be our post-workout shake. And like I said, that's 2 scoops of protein, 1 scoop of carbohydrates. So the macros for this is about 52 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbs. Obviously it's good for it to be in liquid form because post-workout, that's when your body and your muscles are the most sensitized to carbohydrates, and it's gonna be able to just start the recovery as soon as possible, especially since I just used up all my glycogen stores exercising. So I'm gonna drink this on the way home, and I'll see you guys for meal 3 in just a bit. All right, so it's almost 12 p.m. now. I had time to drive home, digest the protein shake that we had, and now we're gonna be gearing up for meal 3 of the day, which is basically gonna be kind of like a breakfast style meal. So we're gonna be having eggs and toast. What I did was I laid out everything here. So you're gonna see that we have just some whole eggs, egg whites, Ezekiel bread, and some strawberries. I'm going to be having about 2 whole eggs with 200 grams of egg whites, 200 grams of strawberries, and 2 slices of the toast. Comes out to about 50 grams of protein, about 20 or 30 grams of carbs, and somewhere around like 10 to 15 grams of fats from the whole eggs. And then along with that, I'm also having a teaspoon to tablespoon of omega-3 fish oil pills. This is the extra strong one, so I'm trying to get a total of 1,000 milligrams when I combine my DHA and EPA, which you'll find whenever you look at the ingredients. That's the minimum amount that you're going to want to have in order to get the best benefits from omega-3s. Make sure you check that, don't just check the price label. And then what I'm usually putting onto my eggs as well, because I'll kind of scramble them together in terms of egg whites, then I'll have whole eggs on the side, is just some Tostitos salsa. So ingredients are actually pretty minimal on this. Yes, there's some sodium, but it adds a lot of good taste and it's not that processed, to be quite honest. Now with this meal, I will also be having a dose of the fat burner that I'm taking. This I started taking as of 5 weeks out. So it's gonna be 3 of these little pills for 1 serving to have just before I eat. And then I'm also having 2 L-carnitine pills. I'm gonna be taking 2 of these pills at 3 different meals during the day. Again, this has been shown to possibly help with fat oxidation and fat mobilization. So just to help me while I'm doing this cut, every little thing that's gonna get my body fat lower will be beneficial to me. So gonna cook this up and show you guys what it looks like.
Wow.
All right, so here's the final product. We got our eggs that I have not seasoned or put any salt or pepper on, since I'm putting salsa and that already has salt in it. I'm gonna be mixing that up and having the Ezekiel toast with that as well. Then we have our strawberries, which are super high in fiber, help us with the digestion a little bit. And then we got our pills that we mentioned that we're gonna be taking. With every meal, I'm trying to drink at least about 500 mLs of water. If not, try to push towards more than that. Since at the moment, I'm trying to drink about 4 liters a day, at least, if not more if I can, of just water. So, gonna get this down. One thing that I make a point to do is when I am eating these meals, because I'm 4 weeks out and there's less and less food week to week, I try to cherish the food itself. So I try to avoid being on my phone if I can, and I try to just enjoy each bite, since there's not many meals that you're having at this point in prep where you're finishing the meal and you're totally full and can't have another bite. Usually you feel like you could have a bit more, but you put a cap on it a little early. All right, so it's 3 p.m. now. It's been about 3 hours since our last meal, or since meal 3. And here we got a nice bowl of ground bison. I feel like Brian Shaw. So 150 grams ground bison, 150 grams white rice, and then 100 grams of spaghetti squash. Now, of course, we had to add the mustard on top. Anyone who's gone through prep knows that mustard's just one of those condiments that you're able to have, which does add some flavor to your food, and it's one of the less or least processed condiments that you could use, which is nice. You know, I thought I would get sick of using mustard, but I kind of look forward to using it with every meal. And for those of you who haven't already gotten on the spaghetti squash train, let me tell you, this stuff is the biggest hack for food and trying to lose weight and diet. Just to give you an example, I'm gonna show you some clips right now of me scraping out the spaghetti squash after it's been baked. You can see how easily that stuff comes apart. It's insane. And then what you're looking at on the screen, let's say I were to eat that, it'd be like 150, 200 grams of spaghetti squash which is a pretty solid amount, and it fills up an entire bowl. And that would only be like 50 calories. It's ridiculous. To add spaghetti squash to any dish just kind of fills it out and lets you add a whole bunch more of volume to that food so that it can actually take up the space in your stomach and you'll feel full after eating that, rather than having a small amount of rice because the carbs are low and having to just drown out your food in, you know, a protein source, for example. So we're gonna get this bowl eaten, then we're gonna be starting our meal prep because today is Sunday and that's when I prep all my lunches for the entire week, as well as bulk cooking white rice, ground beef, and salmon to make as the week goes on, or just to warm up and prepare meals as the week goes on. Because I prepare all that stuff ahead of time, it takes me maybe 2 or 3 hours out of my Sunday, and makes sure that I don't have to be cooking that much during the week, which saves me a lot of time. And it also just prevents me from deviating or having to buy food at the last minute because for one reason or another, maybe I wouldn't have food, or maybe I was really hungry and didn't have anything prepared. Now there's always gonna be something prepared and ready to go in the fridge. So it makes your life a lot easier. And by the way, with this meal, I'll be having my second dose of L-carnitine. So we had our first one before with our eggs meal. And then again, I'm gonna be having 2 of these right now with some water. Again, another 500 to 600 milliliters of water. And that right there is what's gonna be helping hopefully increase a little bit of that fat oxidation as we get closer and closer. So I'll finish up this food and I'll see you guys for meal number 5 of the day. So here we got about 30 grams of almonds. And the reason why I have to make sure to incorporate almonds into my diet is so I can just have another source of healthy fats. Since I'm not really having sauces like mayonnaise or other sauces that are higher in fats, I need to obviously get fats from avocados, almonds, egg yolks, things of that nature. And having a proper amount of fats is super important. That's what the basis of your hormones are really built on. So if I wanted to keep my testosterone as managed as possible or as high as possible during this prep, making sure that I don't necessarily drop my fats much is going to be a huge piece. And that was a big thing that my coach talked about. He said that, you know, as this prep goes on, the carbs will drop and that will create more and more of a deficit to lead to fat loss. But the protein has stayed high and the fats have stayed at 75 grams a day every single day for the last 14 weeks. So this is meal 5 and it's kind of basically just like a little light snack. I'm also gonna be drinking like a decaffeinated coffee with that, just because I like the taste of coffee and I don't want to start having crazy caffeine intake throughout the day. I'm already taking pre-workout for my training as well as the fat burner around lunchtime. Now it's true that going through this bodybuilding prep has definitely changed my outlook and my relationship with food, but surprisingly it hasn't been necessarily in a negative sense. If anything, it's really opened my eyes more and more as to just how much of an effect that processed foods, foods that are high in sugar, and foods that are really just made for taste and not for any nutritional value, how much of a negative impact that can have, not only on your physique, but also on your energy levels, your sleep, your mood, and your digestion, really. And another thing to note is that for quite a few of these meals, the taste profile isn't necessarily the most diverse and it doesn't necessarily taste super extravagant, but I'm someone who's very much focused on the end goal and very much willing to do what it takes to reach that goal. So taste is not so much of an important aspect for myself, but I do know that for other people doing shows or going through any kind of diet, it is super important. For me, if it gets me the result, it could taste like the worst thing ever, but I'll still do it. Thankfully, herbs and spices and all of that stuff doesn't have calories, doesn't have fats, carbs, or proteins, so we can use those things. But yeah, I thought that I would mention that before we head off to our final meal for the day. Alright guys, it is 7:30 p.m. Last time we ate was at 5:30 with the almonds, And we got our last meal of the day, which looks very similar to our our fourth meal of the day. We're just gonna be going with 150 grams of ground bison, 100 grams white rice, 100 grams of spaghetti squash, and a tablespoon of olive oil to round out my fats for the rest of the day. Along with this, at dinner time, I'll be having the last 2 pills of my L-carnitine for the day, and I'll be having a magnesium pill, which usually I'll take at supper time or before bedtime. And that's just to help with my sleep a little bit, help with the recovery, and make sure that I've got that covered as well. You know, obviously all the stuff that I'm doing, supplements that I'm taking, I wouldn't be taking just on a day-to-day basis if my goal was just to be healthy and be fit. It's because I'm in prep for a bodybuilding competition and you're trying to push your body to an extreme that every single little bit matters. And that's why I've gone out of my way to take these supplements. But, you know, if you were to ask me which ones I would probably take even after the show, or if I was just trying to stay in shape and healthy, my top ones would probably be creatine, omega-3 fish oil, and some sort of protein powder, just so that I can make sure I'm hitting my protein goal for the day. Even if I have food cooked or not, shakes are super fast to make. So we're gonna eat this food. We're gonna be throwing in the magnesium right here. Throwing in a couple of these carnitines, and that's pretty much it. You know, I'm gonna aim to be in bed for 9:30 because I'm gonna be training tomorrow again at 7 in the morning. This is where we're at, 4 weeks out from our competition. We have a month left to go. Things are coming together more and more and more. I know I'm not giving a physique update in this video, but you can look at last week's video, or you can go on my Instagram where I'm posting a little more frequently how I'm looking as I'm getting closer and closer to show day. As always, appreciate you stopping by, watching the video. Do leave me a like if you enjoyed it. You can subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at 3 weeks out. Till then, take care. Talk soon. Ciao.